What's up, baby? This is Deontay the Bronze Rumble Wilder. Make sure you tap into Black Authentic Truth for your latest news. It's great information, baby. Bomb Squad!
Hey, man, let me tell you something, man. There's a lot of history. You know, every month they do Black History. They got Juneteenth. But there's nothing like Black Authentic Truth than what you get in ICBK. You want to make sure you subscribe to Black Authentic Truth. The reason why is because we actually give you the truth that correlates with historical information and it incorporates with the Bible as well. You want to know why they don't have an answer for our condition in slavery? Because they don't bring the Bible. Black Authentic Truth marries Black history with the Bible, gives you the correct information. Make sure you subscribe to Black Authentic Truth for the proper information. Shalom.
Street Nasheed right here in Los Angeles, making it do what it do, man. Y'all check out Black Authentic Truth. Get some real good games on YouTube. Black Authentic Truth, man. Check it out, man. Real good information.
Man, you know what's going on. It's your boy Geechee Gotti. I'm rocking with Black Authentic Truth. You want to learn something? Tune in, man. Get your knowledge up. Get your history up, man. Know about something, man. You know what time it is, man. Geechee Gotti, Black Authentic Truth, man. Like and subscribe.
Black man, I have an obligation to my race of people, not to no other race, or no other nationality, just to black people.
And you have always hated us. We have loved you consistently for 400 years. We prayed to that white Jesus, and we saluted your flag, and we died in your militaries, and you beat us like dogs.
This is Black Authentic Truth. Hey, what's good with y'all, man? I'm Thawahgabar for Black Authentic Truth. Let me turn this music down. I'm rocking it out in Houston, Texas, man. Was at the Lord's Passover, the 57th Passover. Rocked it out. We in Houston, Texas. And as I promised last week, I said, I'm gonna bring out some receipts for the fact that black people are the real Jews. And I'm definitely gonna do that. I'm gonna talk about a few other topics. We're gonna get it in. I'm gonna go for about maybe, I say like an hour, maybe a little longer if I get carried away. Y'all know how it could be. But yeah, man, I'm just happy to be here in Houston, Texas, celebrating the Lord's Passover, you know, doing serving the Lord in the right way, right? Today, the world is celebrating Easter. I got a news flash. Easter is not biblical, okay? It's, you know, eggs and bunny rabbits and Easter egg hunts and all of that has absolutely nothing to do with Christ, just like Christmas doesn't, but the whole world does it. And a lot of our people are lost in the sauce, following the traditions of men and not you know what they should be following. Yeah, so with that, I always ask, how is everyone's Sunday? Well, I'm over here in Houston, so we're 2 hours ahead. So it's like about 11 back home. So it's still it's the beginning of your afternoon on the West Coast. It is the afternoon right here in Texas Midwest, and then on the East Coast, I think they're an hour ahead. So I ask everybody, how is your Sunday evening going, afternoon going? Mine is going to after this, I will be going to the Feast of Unleavened Bread, and yeah, and I got some stories. I don't know if I should tell it right now about this Airbnb I'm staying in. Yeah, Airbnb from hell. Okay, from straight up hell. It ain't all bad, but I've never experienced this before. The experience I've had, very spacious, very enough to accommodate 16 people. I'm not saying I got 16 people, but it's enough to accommodate. But yeah, I think maybe I should wait and save that for next weekend for the live for that, so I can really go in, because it's not done yet. Who knows? I got 2 more days. I don't know what surprise could happen next. All right, but what I want to talk about. So I want to definitely we're going to go into the history, right? And I want to talk about a little bit about this brother from the Chicago Bulls that was let go because he made some comments. He shared some of his personal convictions and some of his feelings, about being a Christian. He went on Instagram Live, Jaden Ivey, and let me just get this video and pull it up. What's good with you, Renee? Let me just say shout out to my sis. What's good with you? You said Renee said I'm at the saving for about 2.5 more hours, and then you done. I heard that. That's what's up. All right. Let me just check I'm gonna check my sound real quick before I move. Keep going. Let me see. Testing 1 2. Let me just check the sound. Let me see. Yeah, we good. We good. There's a lag. There's a latency. You good, son? There's a latency, so it takes a while for me to hear it. Like it comes like about 10 seconds afterwards, right? But yeah, we good to go. So I'm about to grab Fintu. That's how Black people talk. I'm about to grab this story. I'm a screen share. Okay. Let me just get this together, y'all. Bear with me. Shout out to everybody that's in the live rocking with me, that support Black Authentic Truth. You agree with, you probably don't agree with everything I say, but you always here rocking and supporting. Let me get this. And we will screen share. And it's a video. I think this video is about, I'm not going to play the whole video. I'm just skim through it with him, airing out how he feel about the NBA and them letting him go after he made some comments about LGBTQ. And I'm going to get into that too. All right.
They said my conduct is detrimental to the team, right? Why didn't they just say we don't agree with his stance on LGBTQ? Why didn't they say that? Well, how is it conduct detrimental to the team? What did I do to the team? What did I do to the players? I did nothing but play with them, pass the ball to them, good teammate to them, said good job, good shot.
So this is Jaden Ivey reacting to being let go by the Chicago Bulls. He went on Instagram Live and he basically said, he talked about abortion. He talked about LGBTQ. And the next day they let him go. They said it was due to conduct detrimental to the team. So he's now talking about, like, what did I do? What did I do to the team? I just said I gave my views. You could have just disagreed with it. Okay, keep playing it.
I said, good job, good pass, way to play, bro. Right? I said these things to my teammates. Was never detrimental to them. So why is it that the NBA and the Chicago Bulls say that I'm detrimental to the team? How? Because I believe in the truth. Because I know Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life.
Now, he spoke out against, excuse me, he spoke out against LGBTQ. When you have a platform and when you're, this is anywhere, this is not just a platform, this is at your own job, even me at my job, like your personal convictions, you have to be very wise on how you voice those things. And to be quite frank, you do not have to even say the things that you feel, right? A lot of times what happens is people, they go on social media and they say all of the thoughts that they have in their head. You don't have to do that. You know what I'm saying? You can disagree. There's so many things I disagree with this world and with, you know, a certain group of people. But I don't go in my place of employment and voice those things. Or I don't voice it in a way where, you know, now I say what I say in the truth. I say, you know, the white man is the devil. You know what I mean? But that's something I'm willing to stand on. That's something I'll stand on. And if a coworker was to see one of my videos, you know, they probably would be surprised, but then they'll think about how professional I am at work and how such of a team player I am at work. And they will say, well, you know, at work, he, you know, he's an A1 person. I see what he's saying here, but the person I know, he's just a professional person. He does his job and he's professional. My point is that you don't have to say now, okay, with somebody that is in the NBA is a business like any other business, but most importantly, they're out to make money. So they're trying to join themselves to LGBTQ, and he's speaking out against it. And I believe he spoke out against Pride Month. He said it is, you know, it's immoral. You know, it's against the tenets of being Christ-like. He didn't have to say that. You can feel that way, but you got to understand these organizations, they're all about the bread. And if they see that you might be hurting their bread, they're going to let you go with the quickness. Now, he said what he said, and he got a lot of people that are agreeing with him that actually support him. It's not on the level of Colin Kaepernick. It's nowhere near that level, you know, but it's something to think about. You don't have to say everything that comes to your head on a public platform. And even in people's personal lives, you see that a lot on social media. You see a lot of people come online and air out their personal business or just say things that they feel that they're just feeling and they have a strong conviction about, and they say it online. You know, there is no consequences to individuals, but if you're somebody representing an organization, as you can see, there is consequences to that. Now, was he right? Is he right? Yeah, he right. Yeah, he right. I agree with him. I mean, I know a lot of people won't agree with him. Especially the big corporations are not going to agree anything that hurt the money. But from a moral standpoint, why is the basketball league trying to do festivities and stuff for, you know, a group of people who are glorified through their alternative sexuality? Why is it just not about playing basketball? Why that has to be involved? You know what I'm saying? Why do they have to do that? Now, do I care? No, I don't care. And he is I think he's a 4 or 5 year player. Okay. And he's injured right now. And he was just traded to the Bulls from Detroit in January. And he spoke about the fact that once he came into the knowledge of what is right and wrong, which I really like, he said something to the point like, you know, I didn't know what I was doing, how I was living was wild. And I'm paraphrasing. He was like, how I was living was wild. And I didn't know I was living wild until I started learning about Christ. He said, I was a porn addict. I was this, I was that. But now he said, I even look at basketball differently. Like it's not that important. And I just wanted to tap in on that because I'm like, you know what? That's what a lot of our people need to hear, like in all sports. But it's the main way that we see ourselves getting out of the hood, out of the ghetto, and getting a better life for our family is through sports. And so a lot of us train our children to, be an athlete, to play football, to box, whatever it is you're going to be able to make money and lift your family out of poverty. We encourage that. Like it's the only way for us to go. But I feel him on that because I came up loving basketball and I would not miss a game. And, I wanted to go to the NBA and stuff like that. And when I came into the knowledge of the truth and I started to become a man in my thinking and started to think about what is more important, what things are more important, or even this, does the God of heaven and earth even care about a damn game? Because, people literally pray before a game, or they pray like, Lord, I want to win this championship, or strippers pray, and you got to really think, how important is that to God? Like, how important is that to the Most High? Like you winning a football game, you winning a game. And this is a man that he's not making gazillion dollars. I think he got $10 million contract, which is still guaranteed. He's still going to get paid all his money from the Chicago Bulls. But you got to think about when people are in these type of positions and they're willing to let all that go because in a certain kind of way, they have been enlightened. They see the world differently now. You got to really think about it. Like, what's more important? What's really more important? So in that aspect, I salute him, this brother, right? But also, he's a Christian, right? I'm sure that he's recognizing Easter today. He's observing Easter today. So he's there and he's seeing things are immoral, but he's not all the way there. And then he also made some attacks. He called out Steph Curry and some other people saying that they're not true Christians, whatever the case may be. You got to understand that your voice does hold power. The things that you think in your mind, you don't necessarily have to always say. You don't have to say it. And but if you feel like you can stand on it, then stand on it. I know everything that I say on this platform, or I say when I'm out doing public speaking, when I'm, anytime I'm talking publicly, I know everything that I say, I can stand on it. And it's okay. I'm willing to lose, my job and all of that to speak the truth. It don't matter to me. I'm not, and of course, I'm not making millions of dollars like these people are, but you just got to be willing to stand with whatever comes with what you believe in. Okay, that's the point. Now, now I want to get to. I'm gonna drop this story. Okay. Now let me remember. Oh, Donald Trump. Let's get that. Donald Trump. Now, many people. Now we know the whole thing just happened with ICE, but what a lot of people don't understand is that the Trump administration has been trying to find ways legally to allow for business owners to hire those same people that they ran off with ICE back to take jobs that nobody is taking. If they don't do this, then there's going to be a whole bunch of crops that go unharvested. And a lot of white people are going to lose money. So now they're trying to, find a place, but they're trying to find a way to go through the system to get these so-called migrants back on these farms during seasonal times in order to harvest these crops and work the fields, because Americans are not taking those jobs. Shocker, right? This is shocker. That's a news flash, right? Like we knew that already. We knew already when ICE was doing that, we knew that nobody was going to take those jobs. I said not even black people are going to take the jobs. People were saying white people and MAGA won't take those jobs that Mexicans do. Not even black people are taking the jobs. And so now they're struggling, but they're not broadcasting this. It's not a headline in the news. I want you to remember that. So let me play this video. Okay. Let's get to it. Let me drop this. What was it? I was sharing this. Okay.
The Trump administration is increasingly turning to migrant labor to address a growing shortage of farm workers across the United States, as the agricultural sector struggles to recruit enough domestic employees. Farmers and industry groups say stricter immigration enforcement and deportations have reduced the already limited workforce, leaving growers scrambling to find labor during crucial planting and harvesting seasons. As a result, the government has begun relying more heavily on foreign guest workers to keep farms operating and prevent disruptions to food production. At the center of the response is the expansion of the H-2A visa program, which allows American farms to hire foreign workers temporarily for seasonal agricultural jobs when domestic labor is unavailable. Officials have presented the program as a legal and controlled pathway to fill labor shortages while continuing broader immigration enforcement efforts. In recent years, farms across several states have increasingly depended on H-2A workers to harvest crops and maintain agricultural output during peak periods. The labor shortage reflects deeper structural challenges within the U.S. farming sector. Estimates suggest that around 40% of the country's agricultural workforce is undocumented, meaning stricter immigration policies can significantly affect labor availability.
So it's saying it said 40% estimates of the workforce for the farms and for the fields is 40% of undocumented workers. That's 40% of undocumented workers. Now, there are many documented Mexicans that work those fields. Also, that's not accounted for. So when you talk about who's picking your lettuce, your tomatoes, your strawberries and grapes, we're probably talking about 75 to 80% of it is brown people. Okay. And that's why that industry is hurting so bad right now, because almost 50% of it is undocumented. And remember, a lot of these people did not get deported by ICE. They decided to just leave because they seen what was happening on the news. They just said, you know what, I'm gonna just leave. I'd rather just leave willingly than get put into one of these, prisons like Guantanamo Bay or something, and not know if I'm ever going to get out or see my family again. I'd rather just go on my own. But it's funny, right? Because you're not hearing this. You didn't hear this, but this has been news for about the last month. But no, they're not talking about it. It's not a big headline, but ICE was a big headline. Iran is a big headline. You know what I mean? But more specifically, ICE was the big headline. Getting these people out of here. They need to do it right. They need this and that. But because and a lot of it was pushed by the prejudice and the bigotry and the racism that MAGA has for these people. Don't they always say, oh, just do it right, do it the right way, do it the legal way. But really it's pushed. Like, you got to be a heartless person to see families get tore apart. Children get snatched out of people's hands. I show up at elementary schools. One of the stories, they was holding a boy. They took the boy, it was a little toddler. I can't remember if it was a boy or a girl, but they held them in custody in order for the father to come out the house. These type of tactics are, diabolically evil. They're devilish. You know what I mean? And these are the same people now that are not lining up to work these fields. So they got to go back and, asked for the hand that feed them to come back after they done terrorized them families and drove them out of those fields with the threat of being deported and being put in one of those prisons. Ain't that something? And it just goes to show you that without brown people, America is crippled. We talk a lot about black and brown, but without brown people, America is crippled. And you ain't gonna even see you. A lot of us don't understand until you have to go in that grocery store and ain't nothing on them shelves. I don't think it will actually hit home for a lot of people until they go into a grocery store and it ain't no food on those shelves. That all of this stuff, all of this, it trickles down to the dinner table, to the refrigerator. But who's lining up to take those jobs? Nobody. Nobody. All of these great legal Americans, and ain't nobody signing up for that hard work in those fields, that hard American work. Nobody's signing up. Ain't that something? Harry, you said, well, I'm gonna get to that topic, but you said real historic Jews are merely common folk who mutual, I'm gonna add to it, who had mutual respect, who mutual respect all who respect them. That's not specific enough, Harry. That doesn't really say anything, you know. But like as I was saying, no one wants to take those jobs. The Trump administration now is trying to get these migrants to come back and work these fields. Sounds like the devil did a little too much, didn't he? Did a little bit too much high signing and showing off and talking tough and trying to be tough when really you need these people. In reality, you need these people. Because the same people that wanted them out the country, they're not lining up to take these jobs. I don't even think they could actually do the job, at least not as efficiently and as good as Mexican people could. I just don't believe it. I'll believe it when I see it. Okay. But yeah, I wanted to bring that story out. All right. Now, I got a series of slides that I'm gonna go through. And I just want to say this is really light work to show that black people are the real Jews. In fact, I don't bring any slides or anything for the people in Israel today. Many people already know that they are not. But what I do have is a video from an Arab who is black that has lived in Israel for 2,000 years. His family, he got the records to show his family has been there. Okay. So I will go over these, some of these books. Some of these books you can grab. That's why I'm pulling them out. Some of them you're familiar with, and some of this information you might not be familiar with. Most of this stuff I would have used in, I probably still will use some of it in an upcoming lecture that I'm trying to prepare to show black people's descent from the land of Israel, going into Greek lands, going into the Iberian Peninsula, also going into North Africa, South Africa, Central Africa, and West Africa, where many people were put on cargo slave ships to the Americas. So without further ado, let me see what I want to pull up first. And I appreciate everybody that's rocking with me. Okay. Stop sharing this screen. Close that tab out. Let's see, what's the oldest thing I got right here? I'll start with this. This is from the book Our Living Bible. This book is, I believe it was written in the 50s, if I can remember correctly. It shows you what the original Semitic people look like. They were black people. Y'all remember a few years ago, they was really on Kyrie Irving's head because he said, I can't be anti-Semitic. I am Semitic. I think I'm paraphrasing. He said something to the point that Semitic people were, oh no, I think Nick Cannon said that. He said Semitic people were black people. That's true. That's very true. There were only black people in the region. Okay, but these are images of Semitic people on the walls of ancient Egypt. This is the stock that the people of God would have came from. Now, I want you to ask yourself, do these people look anything, or should I reverse that? Do the people in Israel today look anything like what you see on this image? We know they don't. Okay. In fact, I've seen where a Jewish rabbi has said that Prime Minister of Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu, his family doesn't have any relation to the ancient Israelites. In fact, none of them do. They all hail from Eastern Europe. Okay. This ain't so much about who is the real Israelites or Jews. This is more about just showing some evidence. Okay. So I don't want to get carried away because I can go in that way and just obliterate that argument. Now, and just to give some context, I'm gonna go from the oldest things pertaining to I'm gonna go in like a chronological order of the slides that I got. This is just random. I just grabbed some stuff just to show receipts that black people are in fact Israelites. Okay. Now, some people are very familiar with this book. This is the book called Babylon to Timbuktu, written by Rudolph R. Windsor. All right. A very, very heavy scholar. This book is filled with knowledge, not just about the Israelites, but about different black groups. And then with that information, you can take it and expound on it and go research this stuff yourself. Okay, so this is from page 84. It says, in the year 65 BC, the Roman armies under General Pompey captured Jerusalem. In 70 AD, General Vespasian and his son Titus put an end to the Jewish state with great slaughter. During the period of the military governors of Palestine, many outrages and atrocities were committed against the residue of the people. During the period from Pompey to Julius, it has been estimated that over 1 million Jews fled into Africa, fleeing from Roman persecution and slavery. The slave markets were full of black Jewish slaves. Now, there's something that I don't have. There is a Egyptian, it's the Brooklyn Papyrus. It is a Egyptian papyri that shows you that during the time that Persia ruled over Egypt, in the area of Aswan, Elephantine, or at the border where Nubia is where Upper Egypt meets Nubia, you had a community of Israelites, and they have found letters of these Israelites writing letters to Jerusalem, asking, how do you run the high holy day? How do we set up the tabernacle? Correspondence, okay? This is a Egyptian papyri. It's called the Brooklyn Papyri, okay? Papyrus. Also, what you know is that the Limba tribe that is all the way in South Africa, their DNA shows that they are actually Israelites. Okay. Now, this is the Romans. When the Romans came and destroyed Jerusalem, you still had Israelites that still lived there, but a lot of people were taken to Rome to be used as slaves. If you were strong enough, you became a soldier, or put into the games as a gladiator. There were, just like in America, there were rich Israelites in Rome, but you also had some Israelites that were persecuted, and they lived underground in the catacombs. And when they was under there, they painted images. If you go look at some of those images in the catacombs, they are black people. Okay. Now, let me move on for time's sake. I'm just looking at my slides. Y'all bear with me. So now we know, by reading that, we know how a lot of Jews went into the interiors of Africa, fleeing Roman persecution. This is 70 AD. Okay. Let's see where I want to go. I want to move to, I got 2 slides from that book. And then I'm gonna show you something from America. Okay. So now I want to talk about slavery. It is well known that there are Israelites all through the interior of Africa and kingdoms in West Africa. One of the ancient kingdoms was in the area of Senegambia, also in Ghana. Okay. And a lot of people put on ships in the 1700s came from that area. So I'm going to read. I have another slide. This book is called Creole to New Orleans, Race and Americanization. And let me see. Let me make sure I got the right one. Yes. So this says 2/3 of the slaves brought to Louisiana under French rule from Senegambia. Let me start over because I don't know if maybe I didn't read that right. I said 2/3 of the slaves brought to Louisiana under French rule came from Senegambia, and they included a strong and influential contingent of Bambara. Now, Bambara it's a people, but it's also the area. Okay. It says the French trade in Louisiana focused on Senegambia and specifically Bambara because in 1720, the Company of the Indies was given administrative control and a trade monopoly in both Louisiana and Senegambia. Now, there is a book called Bambara. It is written by a Jewish scholar who stayed in West Africa. And what he found out is that their language holds Hebrew words, but not just any Hebrew words. These are words that are from the time of Moses. Okay. So some of these words, because the language changed up after captivities. So in the Babylonian captivity, the Hebrew changed a little bit because you got loan words and slang words. And what he found was a lot of their language had Hebrew in it. This is the Bambara. This is something I learned after I read this. Let me keep going. Let me show you. Now, this is going to speak to what people say and what they think. They think that just because we're all Black and we came from the continent of Africa, we're all the same. And I always argue the point that you would not sell your own people. It just doesn't make sense. But American education and philosophy makes us disregard common sense. Okay, now listen to this. It says the French had little hope of trading in Angola, except with great difficulty. Although the Company of the Indies had a trading post at Judah, the Gulf of Benin, there it competed with all the nations of Europe. Now, all the nations of Europe was fighting and competing to sell for the slave trade, to, put their foot in their stake in the transatlantic slave trade. Okay. The Portuguese were taking the upper hand at Judah. The king of Ordes, Alada Porto Novo, were hostile to the Europeans and interrupting trade. The slave trade at Judah was becoming uncertain and unprofitable. The most important kingdoms of Senegambia maintained a tight control over which peoples could be enslaved and sold to the Europeans. I'm going to read that again. The most important kingdoms of Senegambia maintained a tight control over which peoples could be enslaved and sold to the Europeans. Everybody couldn't be enslaved. You understand what I'm saying? Everybody wasn't. They maintained a tight control, meaning we were selling these people, but we're not selling our people. That blows away the idea that Africans sold their own people. And that's what a lot of Black people think. And of course, that's what white people say in order to release themselves from guilt of slavery. Okay, it is not true. You do not sell your own people. Okay, it says also the most important kingdoms of Senegambia made. I'm sorry. It says it seems that during the 1720s, neither the Fobe nor the Mandinga sold their own people or allowed others to sell them. The Bambara enjoyed no such protection during the 1720s. It shows you right there. They make it seem like Africans were just like wild animals and they just sold their own people. Like they didn't have no intellect. They have no understanding. They just cannibals and they want to, you know what? We're going to sell our people to the white man to get guns and this and that. On another record, what I found is that many of the African kingdoms that traded with Europeans for things like spices, things like fabrics and cloths and stuff like that, these were items that they already had in their kingdom that they produced from Africa. So it wasn't a situation where they're selling slaves because they want, oh, I want this silk, this new fabric. I want salt. I want this. It wasn't that. It was out of pure luxury. Like, I just want to try this. So I got some slaves I'm going to sell. I want to try this seasoning. Yeah, we got cinnamon, but I want to try the cinnamon y'all got. I want to try the spices you got. We got spices. They make it seem like because the Europeans had all of the things, the Africans couldn't resist, and they needed those things to trade for. When in fact, a lot of records show that these African chiefs, they lived in luxury already, and they got even richer during the slave trade. But what this shows you is that there was a difference from these melanated black people. It shows you that they didn't share. They didn't enslave their own people. They were very alert about that. Like, you're not just going to come and take our people, but we'll sell you these people. These people were culturally and ethnically different, considered enemies, prisoners of war. The list goes on. All right. Now, we got a little bit of that. Now, I want to get a firsthand account. This is a firsthand account for somebody who was enslaved. Now, this is the book of Alada Equeno. The interesting narrative of Alada Equeno is written by himself, and where he actually talks about his experience of him and his sister being kidnapped by some unknown people while his family was out working the fields and marched to the coast of Africa. Okay, give me 1 second. As he's marched to the coast of Africa, when they get to the coast of Africa, what he realizes is that these people are different from his people. He notices their manners are different. The women are exposed. Some of the people, their teeth are chiseled and sharp. And he's never seen these people before. And he gets to the coast. He's marched to the coast and put on a slave ship, separated from his sister. He goes, I believe he goes to the West Indies, Dominican Republic, somewhere like that. Then to America. Then a British naval captain purchases him, and he works on a ship for the British, and that's how he becomes educated. And then he wrote his narrative. But he's a firsthand account of the slave trade, of literally going through the transatlantic slave trade, and he wrote about it. You'll be surprised at what he said. Let me just make this bigger. I'm gonna be reading from another computer. All right. So he says, such is the imperfect sketch in my memory has furnished me with the manners and customs of a people among who I first drew breath. He's thinking about the people that he grew up with, the community he grew up in. He said, and here I cannot forbear suggesting what has long struck me very forcibly, namely, the strong analogy would even by this sketch, imperfect as it is, appears to prevail in the manners and customs of my countrymen and those of the Jews before they reach the promised land. So now he's thinking about his people and he's saying, I can't get it out of my head that they're very similar. We were very similar like the Jews before they reached Canaan, before they reached Israel, the promised land. Okay. He goes on to say, let me see, let me give you let me keep going right here. He says, before they reached the promised land, and particularly the patriarchs, while they were yet in their pastoral state, which is described in Genesis. Okay, so he's relating his people to being just like the Israelites before they reached the promised land, the way their lifestyle was. Now he says, I'm gonna skip down, bear with me. Where we at? Okay. He says, like the Israelites in their primitive state, our government was conducted by our chiefs or judges, our wise men and elders, and the head of a family with us enjoyed a similar authority over his household with that which is ascribed to Abraham and the other patriarchs. So he's saying the government of his community was like the Israelites, how you had judges and chiefs, and you had the man that was the head of his household. Just like how the things are set up in the scriptures and how they live is how he remembered his people in West Africa before he was put on a cargo slave ship. Okay. He says, the law of retaliation obtained almost universally with us as them. So he's saying the law of retaliation is the same as our people with the Israelites. He says, is there any more? I think it's a little more. This is just one page. Now, if you get this book, you'll be blown away because he just goes into so many things that are just like the Israelites. And he kind of believed that his people were Israelites, but over time, they lost a lot of the understanding. And now, this is a first-hand account. But I got some more first-hand accounts. All right. So let me get this one. These are the receipts, y'all. These are solid receipts that you can go look up yourself. And it's more than what I'm bringing out. You think what I'm bringing out is a lot. It's not. It's the tip of the iceberg with so much information about how Black people are the real Jews, the same people that ended up on cargo slave ships. Okay, here we go. Now, this is from, I'm in Houston right now. This is from the Houston Daily Post. And let me just, give me 1 second. Houston Daily Post, September 20th, 1897. Houston Daily Post, September 20th, 1897. Now, this was a young man, a Hebrew, that came to Houston, all right? And they was tripping off of this because he was dumb, meaning he was deaf. I'm sorry, he was deaf, but he could write and understand ancient Hebrew. I'm gonna read it. It says, a young African Negro had been in this city for the last few days who claims to be a Hebrew. He is deaf and dumb and as black as the ace of spades. He carries a pad of paper with him and answers all questions by writing them down in Hebrew and Lashon Kodash. It says Lashon Kodash. It's really the Lashawan Kodash. So he writes everything down in the ancient Hebrew. It says, what excites the most wonder is that he writes Lashawan Kodash very rapidly. It is the language of the books of Moses and is made a special study of, spoken and written with ease by the rabbis and highly educated Hebrew. So they didn't understand the fact that this young black man, he was deaf, but he could read and write Lashawan Kodash, and he can do it very fast. And this is something that only very educated people at the time were studying. Okay, it goes on to say the Negro was sent to one of the rabbis at Hartford, who is perfectly satisfied that he is a Hebrew. He says that he came from a large town in Africa where there is a tribe of about 20,000 Black Hebrews who speak Lashawan Kodash and are quite prosperous. He also says that his father is a rabbi in the town, and that is why his father took the trouble to teach him to write these languages, which needed an extra amount of labor on the account of him being deaf and dumb. So he's saying he comes from Africa, from a town of 20,000 Hebrews that speak Lashawan Kodash in 1897. This is a first-hand account. Houston Daily Post. That's a receipt, y'all. This whole section of me saying the Jews are Black, this has been nothing but receipts. Some of them is from scholars, and some of them are just first-hand accounts like this one. All right, he says his people not only write Lashawan Kodash, but it is their speaking language as well. He left home a few years ago and has seen a good deal of the world. In each town, he hunts up the Jewish section, and there they give him clothes, food, and money. This is biblical, right? Because in the scriptures, you're supposed to treat a stranger that's your brother that comes from somewhere else. You're supposed to treat him with hospitality. You know what I mean? Send him on his way. This is exactly what he was doing. It says, what surprises him, he writes, is that no Hebrew knows of his countrymen and Africa. So what surprised this young man, is that here in America, he's saying none of the Black people know about their countrymen in Africa. You see, the Black people that got here have been disconnected from their heritage. You know what I mean? And at this time, it's probably 200 years, you know? And so he was surprised that they don't even have the knowledge of Hebrew. They don't have the knowledge that they have countrymen in West Africa. In his town, 20,000 people that spoke Hebrew and were prosperous. Ain't that something, y'all? Ain't that something? That's wild. You know what I mean? You just got to sift through the lies and you'll find the truth. Now, let me just break this down. Now, this is a video of, it's very short. It's a video of an Arab. You know, I don't want to say Black Arab because the original Arabs were Black, okay? But he's just speaking on the fact that he's been in the land, his family has been in the land of Palestine for 2,000 years. And he's also making a distinction between the Arabs you see today, like they're lighter shade of brown, they mix with Ottoman Turks. He's saying they're not original. Then he also speaks on the Hebrews. Okay, so let me just play this. Excuse me.
The Europeans, I mean, because we know the Europeans classify this as the Middle East, but this is Africa.
This is Africa. This is north of Africa. Now they make Libya and Morocco and Tunis. They say it North Africa. It's West, the West. We are in the North. I want to say I'm sorry that my English is not so good, but I will try, you know, to explain or to teach the people that don't know that we are here in this land before maybe more in 2,000 of years in this area in Sinai Desert. It's not far from here. It's near the Jordan-Israeli border. There is our land, my grandfather's land. So I tell you, I'm from Arab Saudi, the original. This tribe will tell you, yeah, I'm from north of Jordan. Everybody will tell you he's not original for in this land.
He's saying everybody will tell you he's not original from this land. He's talking about the Arab people that are in North Africa, Northwest Africa, like Morocco, Tunisia, Libya. He's saying they are not the original. Everybody knows he's not.
He came, not me.
But you came. Did you originally?
They came. But
you,
me,
yeah.
I say I'm here. So they have to be clear. If you discuss with them, okay, they say, all of you come here, okay? Who was leaving this land?
They say it's a black man.
The black man. And before maybe 2000 and a half, there's the Hebrews. The Hebrews.
The Hebrews were black as well, right?
Yeah, there was it.
So he asks us the question, who was living in this land maybe 2,000 years ago? And the brother says the black man. And he says, yeah, the Hebrews. The Hebrews are black. This man right here, you will look at him and you would consider him a black man. You would say, like, you would consider him a black man in America by looking at him, by going off of colorism, right? But his line, he can show his line goes back 2,000 years. His family being in the same spot. So that area, there were no white people in that area ever until modern times. By their own account, by Jewish rabbi scholar, their own account, the books they write, their history, it starts in 760 AD, when they decided to convert and follow the belief of Israelites, because they didn't want to pay tribute to the Byzantine Empire or the Muslim Caliphate. So they said, let's follow something where we don't have to be up under neither one of them. So to be fair, their people have been following or claiming to, they converted, but they've been doing this for 1,000 years. And just to give you a perspective for somebody, like, it's only been what, less than 100 years where you have white people today that say that they're Native American Indian. But they're not. You can look at them and see they're clearly, European. But because they have relationships or something with a Native American Indian and been saying it so long, now they truly believe they're Native American Indian. Well, think about a people that's been claiming to be God's chosen people for over 1,000 years. They're fully set on believing that. I don't even care if they believe it or not. It doesn't matter. The truth in her historical records show that they are not. People don't care about history. They don't care about historical facts. Okay. There can't be, God's chosen people be black and white. That doesn't make, it can't be that. It's either one or the other. And the evidence points to black people being the real Jews. The raw evidence, the evidence written in stone, painted on stone, talked about by, hundreds of scholars, the receipts, the firsthand accounts that I just showed you. People that actually were there. Well, people don't know, when I was reading that article where they were surprised that that brother spoke the Lashawan Kodash. The Lashawan Kodash is the ancient tongue. It is not a bastardized form of Hebrew like what they speak today is Yiddish. So he's speaking the tongue that Moses spoke. Jewish people don't speak that. Maybe the rabbis, they do, because they learn it. They study it, but the average Jewish people don't speak that. They don't even know it. But anyway. That's about it. So those are the receipts. And this is just the tip of the iceberg. This is the tip of the iceberg. I got so much stuff that I could drop. But I said, you know what? I promised people that I'm going to drop some receipts to show you that. And then all of this stuff can be expounded on, meaning you can go and build off of this on your own research. All right. With that, y'all, I'm about to wrap it up. It's been exactly 1 hour, what it looks like. Okay. I appreciate brothers and sisters for rocking with me. I know everybody got something to do. It's Sunday. Maybe you just want to chill. Listen, I'm in Houston, Texas. I'm getting ready to go, be at the Feast of Unleavened Bread, be with my brothers and sisters, which is going to be glorious once again. Yesterday was the Passover. That was glorious. That was a beautiful thing. You know what I mean? That was it was an experience. And I would rather have been doing that than doing what people are doing today in church, which is Easter egg hunts and bunny rabbits and stuff like that, which absolutely has nothing to do with the Bible. So with that, y'all, I appreciate y'all. Y'all stay safe. Y'all stay out the way. Enjoy your evening. This is Thawahgabar for Black Authentic Truth. Peace. This is Black Authentic Truth.